For 3 years now, the Ulster Orchestra has been running its PES, that's Professional Experience Scheme, where senior students who've all had a connection with the Ulster Youth Orchestra are invited to join the orchestra to observe, rehearse and perform with our players. They get lessons on repertoire, they do mock auditions, and they also get to engage with our learning and community engagement programme. And we send them out into primary schools and care homes to practice and learn about our world in community engagement. I was once a member of such a scheme in Manchester about a quarter of a century ago, and it had a massive impact on my decisions as to how to pursue a career in orchestral music. This year, unfortunately, their final visit was cancelled due to the coronavirus pandemic. So I thought we could come up with a new way to allow them to perform and to chat about their time on the scheme, and particularly how our LCE programme has affected them and impacted on their choices. So here are our schemers for the 1920 academic year. They are Leisha, Robbie, Zoe, Owen, Sam, Kieran and Joe. Thanks for all for joining me. It's good to see you all, if not in the flesh, but across this magic of the internet. Of course, we were meant to meet up a couple of weeks ago, I think, for your final visit to the orchestra on your PES scheme. And it wasn't able to happen because of coronavirus and the fact that we're not actually doing anything at all concerts-wise. But we've been very busy during lockdown, putting out different types of material, making sure that the orchestra's musicians are still busy and are reaching our audiences and giving them a huge insight into what life is like for us at home, like in my music room full of saxophones and things, none of which I play. Yeah, just letting people know that we're still there, we're still making music for them. And actually, we've had some really, really nice messages from people about how we've lifted their mood, how we've helped them cope with isolation, and it's been very heartwarming, albeit slightly frantic at times. So I wanted to give you all a chance to experience what life is like for an orchestral musician under lockdown. I'm speaking as someone who has 11 weeks of experience, so bear with me. Has anyone been doing anything for lockdown? Robbie, go on.
Well, one of the things that I'm in the middle of at the moment is my wind quintet. We're trying to keep playing together because as soon as we go back and things get back to normal, we want to be still where we were when all of this started. So we're currently doing a quick project trying to put together an arrangement of Summertime that we'll put together and put out there on the internet. And I have a composer friend who had a piece that was going to be premiered the week that lockdown was announced.
Yeah.
So he sent us all the parts and we recorded it separately and he was able to put that out there. So it's all been recording and self-practice, but then seeing actually still some big end results, which is very satisfying.
Yeah, and aside from the technological issues, which we've all had to learn quite quickly, it's a brilliant opportunity for musicians to practice. Anyone else? Yep, Joe, and then Zoe.
Unmute myself. That's no, I've been teaching online, which has been a learning curve and a half. Like, yeah. I spend about 3 days of my week on Zoom doing this sort of thing, and that's a delight, as you can imagine. Yeah. But no, it's great. It's well, I'd like to say it's improved my communication skills, but from the last minute of rambling, you'll probably have observed that maybe not. But no, it's been an education in kind of getting your points across without being able to physically alter things or move things around, etc. So that's been interesting as well. And yeah.
Zoe.
Yeah. Well, going back to kind of what Robbie was talking about there, I'm in a piano trio and we were supposed to be doing a good few things like before the lockdown started, and then obviously when the lockdown hit, we decided to keep playing together. We did a Zoom rehearsal, which just we decided that was just never going to work. We were never going to do anything like that ever again. So we've decided to go to recording each of our parts separately and putting them together. So we have a few things done. And our pianist, actually, Fraser Hickland, was also in the Ulster Youth Orchestra last year. He's arranging this concert series to appear every Sunday, and he's premiering the concerts. Everything's pre-recorded, but our trio will be performing this concert, so it's kind of like a new way of concerts, compared
Very
to what
good.
it was before. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something we're having to reimagine quite a lot. Concerts with no audience, how that's going to feel for musicians, because there's no feedback. And that's what I find is the hardest thing I've had to learn, is how to address a camera as if it's a person. Yeah, the people who broadcast professionally now have my utter respect. Anyone else? Any lockdown activity? Leisha.
Yeah, I was going to just continue on from what Joe was saying about teaching, because that's mainly what I've been doing, because I'm on a gap year at the minute, so I'm kind of at a disadvantage where I'm not in any kind of quintets or trios or anything like that. So a lot of what I've been doing is teaching. And what I think is crazy about it is the fact that for someone like me doing this sort of setup, it's really kind of anxiety inducing. I hate doing this type of thing over camera, but with younger people, I've actually found that they seem to perform better in lessons. Sometimes I think they come across as more comfortable, which I think is quite interesting. But for me, it's just been getting used to communicating, as Joe was saying, over a camera, because it's not as formal as like an in-person lesson, so you sometimes almost have to watch what you say sometimes.
Yeah.
But it has been really interesting, and I find it positive that we could probably still do this after lockdown ends, that we can still do some sort of virtual teaching. I think it's very encouraging that we can actually do this, and lockdown has kind of proved that there's no real barriers when it comes to learning, really.
Robbie, before I come to you, Kieran, what have you been up to?
My lockdown has kind of been, I don't know, quiet in a way. I've just been doing work on my dissertation, which is due next week. So I've just been steadily working on that, and then just doing practice for just practice sake. My end of year recital was supposed to be in the end of May, but it's now pushed back to September. So I just sort of keeping the repertoire over, like taking over, and then just building it up then later in the summer. But I haven't been doing too much. I've taken part in one or two online projects with Dublin Concert Band, which is the group I play with normally in Dublin, and then I've done like a mall or two online, the end section of it too. That's coming out next week or the weekend or something. But I've just been focusing on work, get that done first.
I just want to come back on something you said there, Kieran, which was it's been a quiet lockdown, but you've been doing a lot of practice. How does that work for a trombonist?
I suppose it doesn't, if you ask my family, but
all right, it's a wind up.
yeah.
Owen, what about you? What's lockdown look like?
Well, I mean, most of the stuff for college, like all the deadlines and things, are behind me now, so it's just a bit of regular sort of practice, So I'm kind of in the summertime sort of mode, but trying to keep motivated, keep working,
Yeah.
It's quite similar to Kieran as well. I think I'm just being noisy and annoying the family a bit,
Better that way around than the other way around. So when you say it's behind you, did you get everything done?
Yeah. That's all submitted a few weeks ago, most of it.
Fantastic, well done. How did that feel?
Good to have it out of the way, good to get some good feedback and stuff on it as well.
Yeah.
And stuff to work on over the summer going into next year.
Absolutely. Which year are you in?
I just finished first year.
Grand. I remember the end of first year and the submission parties. I guess that won't have happened, but I'm sure everyone will catch up again at some point. Great. The next thing I'd like to talk about is your experience. You've all had now a few experiences as part of the PES, but my interest lies, as you know, with community engagement and education, and a sort of aside from what you do on the stage, but also very much a part of the modern orchestral musicians world. So if anyone's got anything to talk about your experiences on PES with LCE learning and community engagement, now's a good moment.
It's completely changed my plans for the future as soon as next year, because we had to do our module choices, and I had originally picked something like investigating old sources from the library, and I just realized, no wait, there's a teaching module and a teaching placement, right, that you can elect to do instead. And I just said, well, I enjoyed what I did with PES so much and other things like the Sparks department at college. I just thought, this is something I'm going to be doing. So I've elected to do actually the teaching module next year. And I'll be in schools doing exactly what we've been doing with the LCE.
Fantastic.
And I'm very excited.
Yeah. That's great to hear. It's great that there's an opportunity, because it's a big thing for me. There was nothing like this for me when I was at college 25 years ago. But actually, that's not true. There was a fabulous program at the Northern when I was there, the Junior Strings Project, which I observed as a first year. But we all need these opportunities in college. It needs to be part of our learning, not just learning how to do D major scale, 17 octaves in 30 seconds. So that's the violinists. That probably doesn't apply to anyone else. I know you all went into crescendo schools with our associates and helped them out on their classes. Kieran, I will come back to you, but tell me, anyone, a little bit about your experiences on crescendo with Anne and Catherine and Roisin.
I really enjoyed doing that. I mean, I'd never worked with children in that sort of sense before. The last time I did something like that was when I was playing in a nursing home for old people who really enjoyed listening to like songs from their childhood. So working with children was different, a bit more like joyous in a way, because I found working in the nursing home really like troubling and like hard to do. I found it really hard to do, but it was heartwarming at the same time when everyone was singing along, but it was also just really difficult to do as well. So I found the one with the children was really like, it was really uplifting and sort of like heartwarming, watching everyone get really into it and really actually love what they're doing as well. I just really thoroughly enjoyed the experience.
Yeah, it's great. I have a little video of you playing while a child went faster or slower. So they conducted you with their feet, and your bar sped up and slowed down accordingly, and it was great fun. It was great fun. Yeah, they're very small children. They were sort of 4, 5, 6-year-olds. It's good to see.
Yeah.
Kieran, you had a LCE thing to say.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it too. But I think it is going to be something that will be seen a lot more like in other ensembles and orchestras. I think I can see it going a lot that way. And the only experience I had before was just my teacher in college asked me to fill in for a sort of display or open day kind of. So in our college they start all the instrumental students on recorder, and then they have like an open day for all the wind and brass to demonstrate the instruments and let them have a go. So they give me like a small P-bone and just was like, yeah, show all the kids and you to go, and they all come up, about 20 or so, and you just had to demonstrate, let them play and see how they got on with it. But this was quite nice. It was nice to have like a group and like just show them what it is like, and yeah, hopefully inspire one or two to sort of pick it up. That's what I'd like to see as well.
Lisa.
Yeah, I was just going to kind of add on to what Robbie was saying about how, for me, it was kind of going into the school and doing all those activities that kind of confirmed for me that teaching is definitely something that I definitely want to do, even if it is kind of on the side, kind of alongside another job. But not only because it's so rewarding, like when we went, it was really like optimistic or something, like the atmosphere was really nice. And it's the fact that when me and Robbie went there, we would play like the first 5 notes of a C major scale up, and they'd all stand up, and then we'd play it down the way and they would sit down, and like it almost seemed like mind control, but it's also something that makes them understand it. And it was really interesting to see how intrigued it made them into learning about it. And I also think with children, one of my youngest pupils, I think my youngest one is 12, and explaining something to a 12-year-old is so different from explaining it to like a 5-year-old. And I think it's a different way of looking at it. So when you go into that situation, you have to be so open-minded and almost like ready to come up with anything to keep them kind of intrigued, but also to make them understand it. Because we're all at a very advanced level, and sometimes the hardest thing I think is explaining the basics to somebody who's like, it's easy to us, but for them it's completely new. So it's also challenging, but it's definitely probably the most rewarding part of the PES scheme for me so far. And the fact that it was so enjoyable was just a plus, really, for me.
That's great. I'll pass that on to Anne, because she devised those class calls for her classes. Everyone stand up, everyone sit down. It's great. So anyone can go in and play them, and you can play them fast and you can play them slow. And I was looking forward to surprising them all on the final performance, which was meant to be last week. And just getting the whole Ulster Orchestra to play a unison, da 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 dum, and watching the Good Shepherd kids stand up, and everyone else going, "What are they doing?" Yeah, no, it's brilliant, but it's non-verbal communication, and it's attention focusing, and it's about concentration, and yeah, it's amusing, and yeah, it's fun, and yeah, it's a fabulous way of engaging with the kids, and that program is all about getting them to learn about regulating their behaviour, and they do it through music. And so they become able to follow instructions, concentrate for longer, and have a creative input into their class environment, which is, I mean, I could talk about that for days, which I won't. But yeah, it's good. It's really good to hear that that's had such a positive effect on you all. Yeah, Joe, go on.
I've got a slightly sort of, I'm a little bit sort of behind on this. When I came across for the second visit, I had a couple of work-related issues that prevented me from actually getting to my crescendo school,
yeah,
which I'm gutted about.
Yeah.
But I think even just from the session we had on the first visit with yourself, it's sort of affected what I do in my day-to-day. Because like, you know, what I do quite heavily is I do a lot of teaching, because it's what I do to keep a roof over my head quite a lot of the time. But not even just the way I work with groups, you know, taking what stuck with me was the exercise, you know, acting to music or putting music to acting. I kind of flipped that on its head with a lot of because I teach a lot of groups as well as individual. And so these are kids who I've got sort of playing very basic arrangements of stuff like Lord of the Rings or Star Wars, but getting them to just put the violin down for a minute and start, you know, devise an action for a certain passage of music. It changes how they sort of react, and it's quite nice to see when that works. So
I'm going to rob that back off you, because
that's okay. I robbed it from you in the first place. So.
no, I nicked it from someone else. Don't worry. Good stuff, Joe. Owen.
Yeah, I thought it was just, I really enjoyed the experience of going in. I think it showed me like the importance of sort of getting kids at a really young age into music like that, because a lot of them, like even the P2 class, they were very good, you know, with all the wee games and stuff we were going on. And I think it's very important to have that going on at such a young age if we want to have like PES students in like 20 years time still coming through, or like if we still want to have a really good quality Ulster Youth Orchestra, you know, in like 20 years. I think it's really important to keep that up, like at a young age, get kids into music like that, you know.
I have somebody waiting in the waiting room. Sam,
Hi, I'm so sorry about that.
don't you worry for a second. Have you got video possibility?
Oh, yes, yes.
No, there it is. Magic. But Sam, what I want to do is just offer you the opportunity, as the others have had, to talk about what you've been doing in lockdown. So, what have you been up to?
Well, obviously trying to make the most of all this time to practice, but also actually what I think is really what's been really great. I've took up wakeboarding, so I've been doing that with my sister, which has been really fun. Lots of things which I wouldn't really have the time to do, I've gotten to do, which has been quite nice.
Very, very good. I'm looking forward to the extreme violining on a wakeboard.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
And we've also been talking about what you found most engaging about working as an orchestral musician, but in the community context.
I think it's just like visiting the primary school was really nice to like inspire the like young children, and like I think like music education is so important, and I learned through the music service, and if the music service wasn't there, then I wouldn't actually have been able to go to music college and everything. And I remember just being so inspired by people coming and visiting my primary school when I was younger, and that's like one of the main reasons why I started.
Okay, so this is where we get to the musicians on call bit, where normally I would be playing myself and a colleague, or small ensembles would go into residential environments, care homes, hospices, hospitals, that sort of place. And they do a little bit of playing, but they'd also do a little bit of chat, so that they could slightly more informally get to know their audience, and their audience could get to know the musicians a wee bit. So that's what we have chosen to do with our PES today. Given that they weren't able to come and visit us for a real life wellbeing session, we're doing it remotely. So first up of our PES musicians, let me hand over to Sam.
Hi, I'm Sam, and I'll be playing for you today the music of Spey, which is a traditional Scottish piece, which I learned a few years ago, back when I was learning through the music service in Portadown. A Celtic ensemble group that I was part of played this piece, and it's one of my favourites.
Thanks, Sam. That was really, really great. So on clarinet, we have 2 PES students this year, and first up is Leisha.
Hi, I'm Leisha, and I've been playing clarinet for about, I think it's coming on 10 years now. I came to the instrument quite late in comparison to a lot of my friends who've been playing their instruments since they were about 5 or so. So I started playing when I was around 12 in secondary school, and by the time I left, I'd got my grade 8 and everything, but I'd actually gone to university to study law, because I think it was just some self-doubt that I never wanted to pursue music, just because it's so competitive, and also there was the stigma surrounding employability and about how it's not a reliable career option and things like that. So then after a year of doing that, I went to Queen's, and I had changed to a music course, and I graduated from there nearly this time last year. It was about a year ago now, and I've been on a gap year, so I've kind of been in and out of kind of teaching jobs, kind of going around schools and doing private tuition and things like that. And in September, I'll be pursuing a master's course in clarinet performance over in Cardiff at the Royal Welsh College for Music and Drama. So a lot of my summer months would have been kind of taken up with kind of music courses and things like that. And I know a lot of us have been involved in the Ulster Youth Orchestra, and myself and Owen, who's also on the call, were meant to be playing with them this August, but unfortunately due to the pandemic, obviously it's kind of turned everything upside down and we're no longer doing that. So I will be doing a pre-recorded video because I've got a key worker at home who's just in from a night shift, so I'm not in a position to play at the moment. But I will be playing in my recording Sibelius 1, the opening solo. And the reason I'm picking to do this is because myself and Owen were meant to play it, and obviously we're not going to get a chance to play this symphony in the summer. So one, I thought it was almost like a nice tribute to the course that will not be, and also it's also a tribute to the Ulster Youth Orchestra, in the sense that we've all had so many amazing experiences with it, and it's how we all kind of came across this opportunity to do the professional experience scheme. And if it wasn't for UYO, we may not have heard of it, or we may not have done it. And also for kind of technology reasons, I'll be doing that because it doesn't require a fancy backing track that I don't have, and things like that. But yeah, so I'll be doing the separate video for that, but I really hope you enjoy it.
Leisha, that was great. Thank you very much indeed. I love Sibelius. I studied him at university, and one of my all-time favourite composers. I just must say that if it wasn't for the UYO, this course wouldn't exist. The scheme is a collaboration between the Ulster Orchestra and the Ulster Youth Orchestra, and it's part of that tree, that chain from inspiration aged 4 through lessons all the way through, and through your first orchestral experiences, and then bridging the gap and handing you over into further study and into careers in music. And no, definite great to have a shout out for the Ulster Youth Orchestra. Right, brass turn. Somebody going to raise their hand? Who wants to go first? That looks like, yeah, good. Owen is up next.
Yeah, my name's Owen. I'm a first year student at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. I'm from Belfast as well, I'm 19 years old. And the piece I'm going to play today is called Lied by Eugene Botze, who was a French violinist and composer in the 20th century, but strangely wrote a lot of solo repertoire for all kinds of woodwind and brass instruments. And a lot of them are very often performed today. A lot of his saxophone stuff for trumpet, trombone, that kind of thing. And a Lied in German is a song. That's the German word for song, just. So I hope you enjoy.
Lovely. Thank you, Owen. That's a lovely tune there. Brilliantly played. So next up, we are going back to the violin and hand you over to Joe.
Hello, my name's Joe, and I'm coming to you today from the spare room in my parents' house in Dumfries and Galloway in the Scottish Lowlands. I'm going to play you a piece today that I sort of consider to be the classical version of the Benny Hill theme. It's from a ballet by Stravinsky and called The Fairy's Kiss, or Le Baiser de la Fée. And it's the very kind of last movement from a big, what's the word? Pas de deux, that comes very close to the sort of the emotional climax of the show. And it's a pas de deux that's based on three movements. You've got a big sort of unsettled dance, a long romantic dance between two characters, and then this comes along and it's sort of a darkly humorous, chaotic scene of abduction and goings wrong. And it's based this particular arrangement was taken from the full ballet and arranged down for violin and piano by Samuel Dushkin and the composer Igor Stravinsky himself. The backing track I'm using today is actually not a piano, but it's an orchestral version that I managed to get stem tracks for and remove certain instruments that stole my tune. So I hope you enjoy. Now I just need to work some audio magic. By that I mean press the on button. So.
I I am speechless. That was brilliant. Thank you very, very much, Joe. The fact that you got the stems and actually made your own orchestral backing track, that is like massive respect. I wouldn't even know where to go with that. This is the third year of the PES, and we've seen many different instruments come through. We've no percussionists this year, but we do have 2 violins, as you've seen, and 2 clarinetists. So our second clarinetist today is Robbie.
Hello, I'm Robbie. Usually I'd be over in London, but with the world falling apart, I am back at my parents' house in Belfast. And with all of this spare time, I've decided to foster my mini obsession with the music from Riverdance. I think it's just some of the coolest stuff I've ever heard in my life. And I thought I'll do some arrangement for clarinet and piano. So today for you, I have 2 small sections from the music of Riverdance.
Thank you, Robbie. Getting the knees pumping there. Yeah, excellent stuff. So we're going to go back to our brass students, and I'll give you a trombonist here. Here is Kieran.
Hi, my name is Kieran. I'm from Donegal and I play trombone. I'm just finishing my degree. I should have been finished a month ago, but it sort of ran over a bit. But yeah, and today I'm going to play one of the Blazevich clef studies, which, yeah, all goes well, hopefully.
Thank you very much, Kieran. That's great. Great to hear a trombone up close. Brilliant, fantastic. So we go back to the strings, and this time we go to our cellist, Zoe.
Hi, I'm Zoe. I'm from Limerick and I'm currently in Limerick. I'm kind of like Kieran, actually, sort of finished my 4 years in the Royal Irish Academy in Dublin, and sort of not finished at the same time as my exam has been pushed to August. So fun. I'm going to play today Bach Second Suite because I've been playing a lot of unaccompanied music since the lockdown, and I'm going to play the prelude from this suite. I picked this one because it's my favorite one. So
Thank you, Zoe. I bet Mr. Bach wouldn't have thought that 300 years after he wrote all of his cello suites, they would have had more airtime during a global pandemic than almost any other piece of music. I've played a lot of them, and I don't think the world is yet sick of Bach's solo string music. Great, it's been lovely to hear from you all, and I hope that you all have continued success with your studies and whatever happens after that, and that on a selfish note, you all involve LCE, learning and education work, community work in your careers, and some of you might even go down that path entirely. But yeah, you've all been fantastic to work with during your visits. I'm sorry that they were curtailed by coronavirus, but so many things have been. So thank you all very much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Thank you.